Hi, I'm back. Long story for my absence. Got a new computer. Realized I need to transfer my hard drive over to get everything saved I wanted. That took a few days. Then my editing software didn't want to work on the new computer. Had to get a new software, had to relearn that, but now I'm here. We're back. And let's get on with today's video.
One, two, three, four. Numb your whore and break your Buddha, please. Pity hop a little peasant's begging on her knees. Illusion fills my head like an empty can. Spent a million lifetimes loving the same man. Oh, every drop that run through the vein always make its way back to the heart again. Fantastic in your boots of Chinese plastic.
This is the Bravado Gauntlet, an icon in the eyes of many from the 2013 San Andreas era. It's perceived as this fantastic, affordable muscle car that actually handles. And this is what I think of it.
Numb your whore and gay kill Buddha, please. Pity hop a little peasant that's begging on her knees. Jesus Christ came down here as a living man. If you can live a life of virtue, then I hope I can. Unto others as you would have it turned. I'm back here and repeat until you learn. Oh, every drop that run through the vein always make its way back in the heart again. And every dog that lived his life in a chain knows what it's like, waiting for nothing. And by the way, you look fantastic in your boots of Chinese plastic.
It's not that I dislike the Gauntlet from 2013. I think it's a very nice car to drive. It's really nicer to drive than the Dominator. But then is it really a Gauntlet? Because the Gauntlets of old were always the big, heavy American muscle cars that were cheap, but not necessarily easy to drive. And that's probably why I love the Gauntlet Hellfire so much more than the normal Gauntlet, because it is a big, brash, heavy, powerful American muscle car. And the normal one from 2013, it just isn't. This one is more manic, more uncontrollable, more sideways. The normal Gauntlet is like almost like a track car in some ways. It's very composed in the corners. This thing, it doesn't want to be composed in the corners. It's kind of terrifying if you drive it sensibly, because it just wants to step out at random times. But if you do drive it like you should, an absolute heavy right foot, lots of fun, then it is going to be fun. It's going to be rewarding. You get the most out of overdriving it. It's one of those few cars that actually works by overdriving it. And I love it for that. I love its simplicity. It harkens back to the old days of American muscle. In more ways than one. Because, just like the 1970s, eventually, the gas is going to run out. And this vehicle is not exactly fuel efficient. It's the antithesis of the environmental movement. But what if Bravado was already ahead of schedule planning for that? This one is not a Gauntlet. In fact, it's a Buffalo, but it harkens back to the Buffaloes of old. This is the EVX. It's a concept car, hence the X, and well, by the power of deduction, you can figure out what the EV means. Yes, for the first time, Bravado has gone all electric. The styling looks fantastic once you ignore the back end, they just sort of gave up there. It really fits that electric, modern, futuristic style. Again, once you forget the back end was drawn by a 6th grader. And yeah, as you can expect, it's pretty quick. It's a very quick car accelerating. It doesn't really accelerate like any of the Cyclones. It just sort of never stops pulling. So there's none of that brutal launch off the line, it just doesn't stop accelerating. It's a really nice sensation to have, it really helps the controllability. So, I criticized the Gauntlet for a ease of controllability, and I praised the Hellfire for a lack of controllability. And I'm kind of torn on this one, because this is not a muscle car. The muscle car is pretty much dead, barring a few Vapids, because muscle cars have V8 engines, so this is an evolution of the muscle car into the electric world. So does it have to still handle terribly then? Is that still a requirement? Because it doesn't meet any other requirements. It's not cheap, it doesn't have a great noise, it's just really fast in a straight line. So, should it be good in the corners? That's my question. And the answer to that, at least in principle, is yes. This car is very good in the corners. Certainly better than the Gauntlet Hellfire. In fact, it's one of my favorite electric vehicles to drive. It's got a little bit of rear end oversteer, but it's not exceptional. The turn-in is nice. The throttle response is really smooth and consistent. It's everything I want in an electric car, which is weird to say for a Buffalo, but it really is everything I want. It's not on rail, so it does have that fun flavor to it, but it's got good brakes, it's got good steering, it accelerates at a reasonable rate. It's not a rocket ship that puts you in the wall immediately upon hitting the gas. It's a perfectly drivable, fun electric car, which is something I did not expect to say in what was once a muscle car. Yeah, who would have had that on their 2023 bingo card? Bravado in a Buffalo making one of the best electric cars you can buy. That's ridiculous. Now you can slide it around a little bit if you want to, because it does have that rear-wheel drive bias. The rear does kick out a little bit. It helps by having, a cardboard box as your rear end. Not very much downforce of any kind. It's a very simplistic design. So you can slide it around a bit if you want to, but I really don't want to, because this thing is just so nice to drive. I haven't driven another electric car like it. I haven't driven many cars like it. It's kind of like the Schlagen GT. It's just so simple and effortless to have fun with. But it is a representation of the next generation, so I should race it against something that is also a representation of the next generation of its technology. And well, we're at Fort Zancudo for a reason, because they want to show off their new toy, as I was getting ready for a re-race. Enter the US military's latest 5th generation stealth fighter, the F-160 Raju. This thing has everything. Not only is it stealth capable, not only does it have plenty of rockets and guns to blow everything else out of the sky, nothing else in the sky could touch it, because it's the fastest vehicle currently on sale in the world. Doesn't matter what you're measuring, it's just the fastest you can get. It's a seriously impressive piece of hardware, and the climb rate is absurd, as you can imagine, with that much maneuverability and that much speed. And now, we are going to go racing against it. Only, it has one more trick up its sleeve, one that even I didn't know about, until I saw it as it lined up next to me on the start line. Oh, it can do that. Oh, okay, it can hover. It's a Vistol too. That's a really difficult piece of hardware to beat. Okay, so race-wise, we start here. I run down the runway, do a U-turn, and run back. That's my race. His race, because he's so fast and has such a good climb rate, he has to climb to his ceiling service altitude, do a UE, and then cross the line. So his distance is exponentially longer than mine, but he's also, you know, a 5th generation stealth fighter. So, I don't know who's gonna win this, but we're gonna find out because that's a brutal launch. I know I said it just pulls and pulls, but it's still an electric car with all-wheel drive. That is stupidly fast off the launch. A little squat at the beginning too, but it is nowhere near as fast as that. I have the initial launch because he's in hover mode, but then that afterburner just goes. Jesus Christ, he's gone. Okay, he's off into the stratosphere. Alright, this is my race now. Just focus on my race. Don't worry about the fighter jet going to the heavens. We just need to get to the end of this straight. There we go, nice and easy. Very simple. Now we should easily win this, right? Well, not so fast. Because while I was already at my U-turn, he was already approaching his service altitude and doing his UE as well. And unlike me, who would top out around 140 miles an hour, he could do way faster than. Not only did he have the full afterburner going, he was getting helped by the force of gravity instead of being hampered by it. So the race was still very much on, and my lead was eroding rapidly. Come on, baby! Come on! Oh, I see him in the mirror. Jesus Christ, he's coming in fast! About not fast enough! We lost to the P45 last time, but we beat the F-160 this time. Not by much, but we beat it. Yes, we stacked the deck heavily in our favor, but the EVX did its job very well. And really, I can say that about the EVX in general, not just the race. For the first time in a long time, I have an electric car that I like to drive. I wish the rear styling was as good as the front styling. That really is the thing holding it back for me. But if that little detail is the only thing holding it back, Bravado did one hell of a job.